All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to S30's inaugural S30 projects cohort. Today is the first class, and we will be going through the first class like this. We will be touching upon a little bit of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, events, DOM, uh, and we will be looking at the structuring of our projects. So first project that we'll be doing today is called Counter and Movies. We have other students who have joined in. I'll request everybody to switch on their camera so that I can have a little bit of interaction. Okay. So, so this is the project that I had posted in our channel also, and I had posted a little bit of reading material also. Are you guys able to see the desktop? What do you see on the desktop? Can you read something which is interesting, maybe?
Yeah, the counter
Movie
move.
names.
The counter and the DDLJ?
Yeah.
Probably. All right. So counter and movies is what you are looking at right now. So let me introduce all the projects are there in curriculum also. It's there in your in the GitHub repository also. So the name of this project is Counter and Movies. And if you just do /solved, Counter and Movies solved, then you will be getting the solved solution of that project as well. So this is a very simple project in which we have to display the initial count. Let's say it's 10. If I refresh it, it's 9. Initial count is 9. If I plus it, then it goes to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If I do the subtraction, if I decrease the count, then it starts decreasing. Just a small feature in this. And then we have some initial display of movies. Some initial data is given to us, and based upon that data, we are displaying those movies. But the interesting part is that there is an input field also, in which we can add a movie. For example, 12 Angry Men is a movie. If we add it, then it will be added to the list. It will be added to the list. Anybody, Dishant, what's your favorite movie?
KGF.
KGF? What is, oh, KGF. Nice. Okay, KGF is what we are adding. If we refresh it, then it should go away. Okay. So today we'll be doing this, that, okay, when we refresh the document, our application, we get the initial state again back, but slowly we will be talking about or doing this, that the state persists in something called local storage. All right. So we can go on for a lot of time about the theory, about different things in CSS, HTML, and script, that is JavaScript. But what we will be doing, the philosophy of S30 is same, that okay, we will be learning by doing the things. We will be doing small projects, and whatever will be coming out, or whatever question will be coming out, we will be trying to answer them. What else? Anybody, any questions till now? This is awesome. Are you guys sleeping, or am I so good? All right. So here's the plan. So today we will be doing a small JavaScript vanilla JS project. But what we will be doing tomorrow is we will be doing the same thing in React. So the vanilla JavaScript and React will go in parallel so that we are able to understand the key differences. Because in the real world projects, we will be using something like React. In the bigger projects, we'll be using something like React. Um, if you guys have a little bit of familiarity with React, or if you have read about it, let's start asking some basic questions. Why do you see so many companies using React? What's the advantages of React? What do you think are the advantages of using something like React or Next.js or any other framework? Anybody? All right, keep this,
Single page application.
say that single page applications. And what is single page applications? How are single page applications better than non-single page applications? Good, that's a great answer.
Like, yeah, like when we render the page, like refresh the page,
Hmm.
so like the contents of page won't get refreshed actually. Like whole page will not be loaded.
Hmm.
So only the component which we need, it will get loaded actually.
That's a great answer. So we will be learning about something called virtual DOM. We will be learning about DOM first. What is DOM? Then we will be learning something about virtual DOMs. And Mani is absolutely correct. The rendering is super fast in something like React. It's because we are looking at subtree in the DOM. We are refreshing only a subtree of the DOM where the state changes have happened. So a lot of initial, you know, terminology that I'm using is going to be feeling alien. You might not get it, but that's fine. All right. We will navigate through a little bit of fuzziness in the initial phase. All right, so this is the project that we are going to build. That is a counter, plus and minus button, and a display of movies. All right, let's start it. We do have it on the GitHub also. You can download the repository, and if you are coding with me, then you can download the repository, and you can see the requirements are clearly given over there, the product requirements. And in the end, if the time permits, then we will be putting it in the production, and we will be using a service called Netlify, which basically marries the pipeline to directly to your GitHub, and it auto launches your application on the real world. So this is real world. If you want to, if you guys are using it, then I can put it in the chat also. Where is the chat? How do I get the chat? Right here. So this, it's posted in your this thing also, in your channel also. Okay. All right, let's start with our things. Let's start the terminal first. Okay, and let me drag the terminal right here. Things are going to be a little bit slow because the Zoom is also running. Uh, if you and everybody familiar about the shell commands, general shell commands. I'm assuming everybody is from MS background. So ls, everybody knows what is ls?
List.
List. List what?
The contents of the directory.
List the contents of the directory. Okay, I'll take it. CD,
Change directory.
change directory. All right. And anybody on Windows? That's good. I hope nobody is at.
Yes.
You're at Windows? Who's on Windows?
I am.
Oh, get Ubuntu, okay? Get Ubuntu. I will post the link. All right. So need to get Ubuntu. Because everything that we will be doing is going to be, and S30 projects. Let's go to the client projects, and let's go to CD practice. All right, so let's go to CD counter. Let me remove everything. RM, RF, star over here. Yes. Okay, and command K. Command K, if I want to delete everything from my terminal, that is command K. All right. So if you're taking notes, you can take the notes, but I will be posting in the channel the common shell commands link also. All right. So let's initially touch, let's have three files, that is index.html and script.js, a JS JavaScript file, and a style sheet. CSS stands for cascading style sheets. All right. So we have three kind of things in every project. In these small projects, we have index.html, script.js, and style.css. Here's a very naive explanation of what is HTML, what is CSS, and what is JavaScript. HTML is the body. Think of it like human body. Style CSS is the clothes. All right, styling or what you're decorating. All right, and script.js is basically the brain of your body. So if we take analogy to the humans, then index.html is basically the body. The script.js is the brain, and style is basically the clothes. All right. So let's fire up. Anybody any questions till now? That's amazing. All right. For this, I am using VS Code for this project, and mostly I will be using VS Code also, VS Code only. And this is the salt part. Okay, let me remove it. All right, so style index. So whenever we are going over the project, firstly, we will be building the body structure, and then we will be doing a little bit of decoration, and then in the end, we will be putting the brain into the projects. All right. Here's the thing. It's not sacrosanct. It's not fixed that I need to have a different file for HTML, style, and script. So initially, what we will be doing is we will be doing a lot of things in which we will be focusing on a small project, but we will be doing a lot of things interchangeably. That is, I can do this also, I can do this also, I can do this also. All right. And that variety is important to learn in the initial phase, so that because when we will be going to React, then we will be building something called JSX files. But you should not be getting surprised over there that hey, he was doing three different things in three different files over there, but right now he's doing everything in one file. All right. So we will be looking at initially we will be looking at the variety of the things. Okay. So good thing is when we do exclamation mark and do tab, just the tab, then we do get the basic structure of the HTML. All right. And this is a great place to start. Any HTML is the basis of something called DOM. Anybody knows what is DOM in context of front end development? What is a DOM? Or in case of application, what is a DOM?
But I know the definition, like
Sure, go
not
ahead.
definition, full form, document object model. It's
Document
a
object
kind of
model. That's amazing. Yes, that is correct. Absolutely correct. So if we have this as the document, we have something called a root element. What is the root element over here?
And document
No, no.
HTML.
HTML.
HTML is the root element, okay? And further in the root element, we have a head, we have a body for this. So just the same representation we are going to learn over here, just showing you the figure. We have the document. What the hell happened? Where did it go? Where are you? Right here. Why are you not looking beautiful? Okay. Are you guys able to see it? This is the document. The root element is the HTML. Then we have a head. Then we have a body. The equivalent of this is head and body over here. And then we have further elements. For example, in the head, we always have something called title. All right. And in the body, we can have different divs. We can have different HTML tags. We can have div. We can have H2, H1, header 1, header 2, header 3s. We can have paragraph tags. We can have spans. We can have different kind of further elements inside the body. So this is basically a basic document object model. Think of it like an array tree. If you have looked at DSS, if I take an analogy, it's like an array tree. All right, so how do I open it though? How do I fire up this thing? How do I open this HTML into my browser? Anybody? Where is the
Right click, show preview.
right click? We don't do right clicks. We go to the terminal, okay? As less use of our mouse and the keypad as much possible. So we do open HTML, okay? Index.html. So it opens up, and this is the, let me close this, and this is the document. All right. So if you see the title of the document is document. If I change it to counter and movies, counter, let's say counter. If I press Control S and then I go to the browser, no change. But if we do this, then the title comes as counter. Make sense? All right. So this is an issue that whenever we are making changes to our project, we have to go and we have to refresh the things in our browser. We don't want to do it. In case you don't want to do it again and again, and as soon as you press save over here, the things get auto reloaded over there, which is called hot reloading. There is an extension called live server, which I posted in the channel also. So get a live server extension in your VS Code, and then if you click go live, then it will be opening up. And I don't need to do anything. If I change it to blah blah, all right, press Control S and it will be changed. Cool. So this is the advantage of hot reloading. If you want to do the other way, you can do it awesomely. And what else? Let's say it counter project. Okay. We have a script file. So first things first, let's link. There is a link. If you click link tab, it will give you a reference to the style sheet, and you can just dot slash and you can put a link to the style sheet. All right. What's the issue? Okay. That's fine. Okay. We don't have anything. Why are you not behaving? Now you are behaving. All right. So inside the style sheet, let's see if the style sheet is getting loaded inside our HTML correctly or not. Let's have a body and background. Let's have RGB color 75, 71, 71. You can try any kind of colors. But I know from there, the project that we did, see, this tells me that the style sheet is correctly connected. All right. So if I do this, background is this color. Cool. So I want to test the same thing, that the script is getting loaded in my HTML or not. For that, I will be having script tag, and I want to link it to a source. All right. So if I go over here, link it to a source. What source? Script.js. And there is a keyword that we have to use, that is defer. Anybody knows, whoever has coded in CS, the vanilla JavaScript, why do we need something called a defer keyword over here? After we have linked our HTML to the script or the JavaScript file, why do we need a defer?
To not load it on the startup.
That is absolutely correct. All right. So with the defer keyword, we are telling that once this whole HTML has been loaded in our application, after that, you start using your brain. Once there is the whole body of the human, then he should be using his brain. Don't you start using the brain or whatever is there, whatever code is there in your script file. Don't start doing it before the whole DOM content is not loaded. All right. Before this whole HTML has not executed. That is the advantage of script file. The other way that we can do is we can have the script right here also. All right. And in that scenario, I don't need to use the defer keyword. Cool. All right. So if you are putting your script inside your head, then use the defer keyword. But a lot of places you will not be using it because it will be after the HTML, after the whole HTML. Okay. So let's test whether the script file is getting loaded in our project correctly or not. Console.log. It's the JavaScript version of system.out.print. Hello world. All right. And if I want to see whether it is working or not, what should I do? Right click, inspect, go to the console of your browser. All right. So let me make it a little bit bigger. Console.log, console, and hello world. All right. And if I do this, I am going to make it a little bit on this side, make it a little bit smaller, and hello blah. And control S, hello blah, is getting loaded in our console. All right. And so this proves us that, okay, BL, hello BL. All right, awesome. This gives us an idea that the script is perfectly connected with our, the HTML is perfectly connected with our script file. Okay, so let's see. What does the project want? The project wants, where is that browser? Where is that? Okay. We have this only. And where is that counter and movies? Counter and movies. This is the product that we want to build, and we have a container. If you want to see what is there, you can go to the inspect and you can go to the elements and you can look at the elements that have been built. So if you see over here, this is counter container over here, which is a class. All right. So we will go into a little bit of details about the class and the IDs. But for now, let's go to the body, and we want to have a div that is a class that is counter container. Now you can do this. You are welcome to do this. Div and press. You can do this div and the opening and the closing tag, or you can do a little bit of shortcut in which you write just div, and after that you write dot counter and container. Container, and if you just put tab, this will happen. All right, it will fill in the blanks by itself. All right, so let me do Control Z, and if you want to do an ID, all right, in HTML and CSS, the classes will be represented by dots. That's how they are identified. We can have a class which is consistent for many tags, many HTML tags. All right. For example, buttons. Buttons need a. Okay. Let me stop sharing and let's have a little bit of discussion. So this is about the naming convention and how you want to organize your CSS. So in CSS, the classes are represented by dots and the IDs are represented by hash. All right. So ID is basically a specific element that we have in the DOM. All right. For that, we use a specific ID. For example, in this product, we have button. We have two buttons. Their class is going to be same. All right. All of them will be having some styling conventions which will be consistent with all the buttons. For example, I want all the buttons to be green. All right. That is a consistent style for the button. All right. But based upon certain buttons, I need the styling which is specific to that, right? Or if I don't have many instances of that same element, then I can use ID. If I want to have separate thing for individual thing, then I can use an ID. If I want to have a group kind of thing, then we will be using something called a class. All right. And the naming convention that we use for naming the elements is going to be something called BEM. I have posted the link in the channel also, that what is BEM. Anybody who read through it? Anybody who can tell me what is BEM? All right, read it and let me know tomorrow, okay? But Nenel, it is a block element modifier. All right, every element, how do you define the elements? When you are building really big projects, what the problem is going to be, Sukhpreet is going to name her variables or elements like snake case, or she'll be having a different naming convention, and Dishant will be pulling his hair out. He's the team member of Sukhpreet, and he'll be knowing how she is naming the things. So basically, to have that consistency in your naming conventions, uh, we have a framework for naming. We have certain basic rules, you know, housekeeping rules for naming conventions. So that is BEM is one of the ways. It's not the only way, but BEM is one of the ways that you have consistent rules. For example, in the naming convention, that's why I have this in the index.html. I have div.counter. Oh, you guys are not able to see this thing. Let me share. All right, counter container. All right, so for an element, if we want to separate two words out, two underscores, all right, counter container. If we want to have a modifier, counter container green, then we will be using two. What do you call these? What are these? What are these called?
Dash.
Dash. Yeah, two dash. All right. Yeah, two dashes. All right. So, and if I want to have an ID over here, all I will do is my subtract button. Subtract button. All right. So if I do this, then we will be having the ID also specified over here. All right. Anybody, any questions till now? So let me go back to the container div dot counter container. And okay, we have a counter container, and in the counter container, we have two buttons. All right. So let me go over here, and let's have inside this, we will be having two buttons, button, and let's have an ID over here, that is add button. Okay. And this is plus, and what happened? Add button, this is fine. And let's have just control V, subtract button, and let's call it subtract button. All right, let's just try to see. And remember, we have a paragraph also. The current count is 9. All right, so we will be having a paragraph tag. And in that paragraph, we will be having current count is. Now this count is a variable. It will keep changing. So I need to target it. I need to go to this element individually, right? So for that, we will be having something called span. And in the span, we will be having the current count. All right. So I'll specify it as with an ID. All right. So span a hash count. All right. So whatever will be the count, it will be right here. We will be setting its count. Cool. So let's just go and see what is happening in our current project. All right, we can see it, but this is black firstly. So let's go and style it and color. I want the color of the font of the text to be white always. I'm not playing around with so it's white now. And I want the counter container to have a little bit of margin so that it is not, it is not going inside it's just literally fighting with the browser, huh? So let's have, how do we represent the element with the class is counter container, counter, just paste it, counter container, and let's have a margin. Margin to REM. Let's cover two concepts over here. One is what is margin and what is REM. See, this you are clear that with the dot represents for a class, and it is the counter container class. What is REM in CSS? What does REM stands for? Anybody? Okay. Anybody knows pixels, 8 pixels? If I write 16 pixels, everybody knows that? That is a measure. That is a measure for the distance or the scale. Make sense? So 16 pixel. If I write 32 pixel over here, all right, margin, and margin will be right here. Cool. And if I write 2 REM, no, it will almost be there. So anybody who wants to tell me what is REM stands for? Remember that we had a DOM. Remember we had a DOM, and in DOM we had a document, which was the initial node, and after that node we had something called root element. All right. So R over here stands for root only. Root element, 2 times the root element size. Whatever is the font size by default in most of the browsers, this root element size is 16 pixel. Remember that, because when you will be styling it, you will be needing this. All right, it's 16 pixel. All right. And if I want to comment it out, just press command and slash. In whichever file you are, command slash will comment out the text, whether it is CSS, whether it is script, whether it is index.html. All right, command slash. All right, 16 pixel is the size for the root element in most of the browsers. So when I'm saying 2 REM, basically I'm saying 32 pixels. 32 pixels is what 2 REM stands for. And I don't want to write like 48 pixels. I want to be productive. That's why that's why we use 2 REM. That is the scale it according to the root element. And the advantage of this is tomorrow your client says, oh, I don't like, everywhere the fonts are very, very small. What do I do? You ask him, okay, how much bigger you want? Should I make it 8 more pixels? So if you want to do that, just go to your root element and change its size from 16 to 24 pixels, and everything will be changed accordingly. All right. So you don't need to change that. Go to the counter container also, change all the things, margin, padding, whatever. You can change the things according to the root element. That's the advantage of using REMs. Margins. What is margin? Let's look at it. Let's see it. So if we inspect, we go to let's look at all the elements, and in the elements, if we see, okay, when I'm writing over here, when I'm just going over here, this is the margin. This orange thingy around the div is called margin. If I specify, so when I am specifying margin over here, it is on all the sides. So over here, if you go, margin is all on all the sides. So on the left, 2 rem, up 2 rem, bottom 2 rem, right 2 rem. All right. So the critical difference between the margin and the padding is that the padding is inside the div and margin is outside the border. All right. So if I want this not to be, if you see the div over here is the one which is represented by blue color and the orange one is representing the margins. All right. So if I want the blue color to be away from the border or the div, then I will be using padding. Neither, if I want it to be outside, I want the gap to be outside, then we will be using margins. Anybody, any questions till now? Let's make it 5 rem. Oops, caps lock is on. I click.
Can you explain once again what padding to margin means?
So margin is outside the div, outside the border of the div. Cool. And padding is inside the border. Did you get it, Radhika? Let me show you. All right. So over here, I want to make it 10 rem. Let's do 10 rem. All right. Okay. So it's right here. Let me see what was the. I had taken 100 pixels. So let me take 100 pixels over here for now. All right, so that it is right here also 100 pixels, okay? So if I do padding over here, okay, let me do the border, okay? Border is 1 pixel, green in color, white. Let's have white color so that you are able to see. Okay, and border, the counter container should have a border. All right, let's have a solid. Cool. All right. So this is, if you go over here and you look at the element, did you get it? This orange thingy is the margin. Cool. And if you see, the current count is just, it's just with the border. There is no space between the border and the current count is and the buttons, right? Are you understanding, Radhika? Are you with me? Where did you go? Is she there?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
My
Rutuja.
colleague Radhika. That's my best friend's name.
That's your friend's name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Rutuja, did you get it? So this is like,
Yes.
it is fighting like, I don't know, like an estranged couple. They are fighting with each other. All right. So if I do padding over here of 10 pixel, then they will not be fighting anymore. Cool. They will be away. So there will be a padding. This green thingy is the padding. 10 pixel away from the border from the left, 10 pixel away from the border from the top, 10 pixel away from the border at the bottom. Did you get it? Rutuja, did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. All right, so this is the advantage of padding, and I'm going to remove the border also. For now, this was just to show you. And remember, I'll do one more thing. All right, so in the index.html, I have an ID for the button, and you can have ID and the class both. All right, I want to have class because that is button class over here, because I want to have the same styling, same styling for both the subtract button and the add button. For example, the styling is that their width should be button, their width should be 50 pixel. I don't know, 50 pixel. Let's try 50 pixel over here. And yeah, now it's at least I can see them. All right. And height also. Let's give it them a height also, like 10 pixel, so that they are at least a little bit visible. All right. It's because the counter container is small. Because of that, the parent is small. That's why. Yeah, because the padding. Okay, I'll have to give the height to this as, let's say, 80 pixel. Just playing around with the CSS a little bit. No, why don't you like it?
Increase height to 20 pixel.
Oh, it is just 10 pixels. Yes. Thank you. 20 pixel, let's do 40 pixel over here. Then it is a little bit visible. I think 25 is fine. All right. So at least we can see these buttons. And now below this, I need to have movies and input. All right. So let's go to the index.html and let's have, see, this is a list of movies. And in order to show the list, we use unordered list and the list tags. So let's have an unordered list with ID movies. Movies. All right. All the movies. Cool. And inside this, I will be putting, I'm just showing you initially list over here, a list tag, let's say DDLJ. I'm hard coding it, but we will not be hard coding it. Don't worry. All right, because the initial state can be not 5 movies, it can be anything. All right, 12 Angry Men. And I don't want Dishan to be feeling unhappy, so I will use KGF also. All right, so KGF. Cool. So this is R. It looks like this. And remember, I don't want it to look like this. I want it to have a margin which is in consistence with this, so that I will go and to the hash movies, or let's style the unordered list, and I can do the unordered list like this, and I can give it a margin of 100 pixel again. All right, too much. Margin to the left only. I don't want it to have the margin at the bottom, all right? Because I will be putting an input element also. Margin to the left is 100 pixel. Over here, it was counter container was also 100 pixels. And this is because of this dots. I don't want to have dots, remember? And in order to remove the dots, I will have list over it. One thing that I want to show you. I can style the list over here in the CSS, or you can do one thing. Look at this thing also. So this is the variety. Style, list style, none. Did you get it? There is no dot for the 12 Angry Men. There is a dot for DDLA. It's because I have individually styled this. But if I want to style it consistently for everything, I will go and for this list, I'll go to style.css and the list. I don't want to have it that dots bullets. List style is the property. For that, none. And now we will not be having any this thing over here. It's too much away. All right. So let's have it as 4 REM only. 4 REM. We had used the pixels over there. Let's use 4 REMs over here. All right. So this is the way that we are going to display. And below this, I need to have another HTML element. Now I'm going to remove it. All right. We will be dynamically putting it. We'll do some magic. Let's have an input HTML tag element, which is, let's call it movie input. Let's have it as a class. Although it doesn't make sense for it to have class because we are not, making many elements of the same type. But this is just variety. Movie input. All right. So we will be having type text. Awesome. We want it. And we start getting it over here. And let's have the input class, movie input also. Let's have the input class also have a margin. Input class also have a margin from the left as for REM. Cool. So this also, and let me go to the HTML and let me put the lists over here. List DDLJ. Just want to show you something still in the CSS and HTML only. And 12 angry men. Okay, and this is what it has, 4-pixel ID movies unordered list will be having, and okay, don't worry. I wanted to show you something, but let's not today. 100-pixel. All right, so everything is looking fine for now. I want it to have the input color as, remember, green, just a variety so that you are able to see it. I want to have a green color over here. So when we are putting the things, it is green. And I want to have a font size to be a little bit bigger. Let's say 12-pixel. Cool. And so that when we are putting the things over here, and I want the input height to be 20-pixel. Yeah, a little bit bigger so that at least we have a little bit of breathing space over here. What else? So we are pretty much done as far as the skeleton and the CSS is concerned. Anybody, any questions till now?
So why did we add the span count?
Because I want to have, remember, I want to have in this project, I want to have this count will be changing, right? Tish, 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 right? I cannot have a static count. This will be a dynamic thing. So in order for me to target a specific part of the text in the paragraph, I have put a span over there so that I can take it by the ID and I can change it. Whatever will be right here, I can change it. Does it make sense, Supreet?
Yes, sir. So, and one more thing, like sometimes you're using class and sometimes ID and sometimes together. Like, how do you logically differentiate, like when to use what?
Yes. So anybody who can answer that, I mentioned it at one of the places, but let's see if you guys, any one of you was able to absorb it. So where do I use classes and where do I use ID?
I can go. So classes basically, like in Java, we use classes for a group of stuff, group of
Mhm.
elements. IDs is specifically pointing out that this element we need to style upon. So it's an element can have an ID and a class both. ID is gonna be, for example, the name of the class. For example, dog is the class and ID is its breed. So you
Yep.
can correlate
Breed
similarly.
breed is still the class, but
Golden retriever per se, like just
golden
name the
retriever
dog.
is a
So you can
class,
go.
and in
Yeah.
that Tommy is the
Yes.
ID. I have a
Mhm.
class of golden retrievers. Tommy is the naughty one. Brenda is not the naughty one, and Tommy is going to the training and he's not learning anything, and Brenda is going to the training and she's learning. Make sense? So Tommy and Brenda are IDs, and golden retriever is a class. So if I want to specify all the golden retrievers have long hair, so that will be applicable for Brenda also, that will be applicable for Tommy also. But Brenda is learning something in the training and Tommy is not. That is according to the IDs. Does that make sense, Supreet?
Yes, sir. Got it. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else, any other questions? Cool. All right. So now let's go to one more thing. I can have this. See, I have shown you that, okay, style, it's not necessarily that I need to have a different a file for the styling. I could style it right here also by putting the style over here. So it's not It's not only for the list. I can style every element, style over here, style over here. I can specify the style for individual elements also, but we don't want to have so much of khichdi, right? That's why we have a separate style sheet. Then that's why we have a separate HTML sheet, so that we are able to have only the HTML over here. And in the styling, we have the styling of the elements. And in script, we have what are the actions or methods or things that we should be running on those HTML. What does HTML stand for? Anybody?
Hypertext markup
Hypertext
language.
markup language.
Hypertext markup language. All right. So all the elements in the HTML, what all things I should be running on those elements can be done in script. All right. But it's not sacrosanct that, okay, I need to have a separate file for script. I can have script right here also. Script. And inside the script, I can specify whatever we are specifying over here. For example, console.log hello world. All right. So console.log hello world. Hello only. It's fine. All right. And if I go to console, I am making some mistake over here. Okay, but that's fine. All right. In the index.html, I have 63. Cool. So if I remove this over here, we have hello. Cool. So the thing is, in the index.html, in the script tags, we can put the JavaScript. All right. But we have a separate file. And here, what we are going to do is, this is my way of doing it. It's a little bit of organized. You can do it other ways also. But when I'm doing my projects, this is the way that I found most better. All right. We'll have variables first. So in the variables, I will be having all the movies, initial movies, as let's say DDLJ, an array. Everybody knows what is an array. Anybody who doesn't know what is an array? Thank God. All right, DDLJ, 12 Angry Men. Angry Men. We should have KGF, neither Dishant will be an angry man. And after that, any other movies? Tanmay, suggest a movie, a decent one, please. Not the other ones. Yes.
Matrix.
Thank God. Matrix. Tanmay had to think a lot. All right, Matrix. And then we have Gangs of Wasseypur. Let's call it Gangs only. So these are the movies. Then we will be having another variable. Can somebody tell me another variable that we can have? Let count. All right, what is the initial count? 9. Cool. Now, this is the basic JavaScript level discussion that we are having. Count. At some places, we have let. At some places, I will be using const. At some places, I will be using a var. What's the difference between all these things? This is a little bit JavaScripty. Anybody who knows what is the difference between let variable, var and const? So here's the
Let and
difference.
var are mutable.
Yep. Let and var are mutable.
Const is immutable.
Mutability is something different.
Let is block scope and var is global scope. Like outside the block, we can use var.
Within function.
That is an application. All right, but that is not. So for example, I can use let var and const over here in the global also. Anybody? It's not data types. Don't think that they are data types. They are not data types. So here's the difference between let, var, and const. Declaring and assigning. Two things. We can declare a const variable, const only once, and assign it once. I cannot reassign it again to a different thing. If you start reassigning, it will throw an error. So const is, as the name says, constant. It remains constant. You declare it once, you assign it once. All right. Let is you declare it once, but you can reassign it to a different things. For example, count can become is you cannot redeclare the count. If you declare any other variable as count, then you will be getting an error. All right. But you can change its value. It's not the same as mutability. It is reassigning. You can reassign the let to something else also. And in var, I can do both the things both the time. I can declare it again and I can reassign it. All right. That's why vars are not safe. Either you use let or you use const. All right. So let's have let and const movies. I am able to use const over here. I will be mutating the data over here, but the reference to the array remains same. So for example, the reference over here is 420. That is constant. It doesn't change. So a little bit of concept of variables by reference and variables by value. All right. Even if you don't know in JavaScript, that's fine. Just remember this thing, const, you cannot reassign it again. You cannot reassign it again, that if you have some other array over here, that is a new array over here, and new arrays of certain values over here, 1, 2, 3. All right. So if you start assigning it to some other array, then you will be getting an error. All right. If it is a const. If you want to reassign it, then you can use it with the let. So firstly, we will be having all the variables at the top. Then I want to get all the elements. Remember, all the elements are there in my HTML. From HTML, I'll get all the elements. So first thing I need is the count. Here comes the advantage of having a specific ID for the count. Since I have to change it, I'll get let count element, snake case, I use this convention, count element is equal to document, get the document, get element by ID, and specify the ID, that is count. Let me just console log it, and you will see the advantage of this. What did we just do? Console.log. If you do count element over here, and you go over here, console.log, see, it caught that element from the HTML. So it is showing me that span, it's an ID count. Cool. All right. So another thing that I want to have for counter is let add button element is document.get element by ID. Get, you will start getting all the recommendations. Get element by ID, and that is, let's just copy it from there. I don't want to mess up the things. Generally, if I start doing, then add button, and I want to have a subtract button also. Subtract button element, that is sub. All right. So we will be having all the elements. So first thing, if something is not working, go and see whether you are getting the element correctly from the HTML or not. All right, subtract button, and we'll get the movies. Don't worry. But let's get this working first. Let's have this working first. So now let's have the methods or the actions that I want to do on the HTML elements. Remember, one of the things that I want to have is increment the count. So increment count is, this is the way to declare a function. This is just like, if you are coming from Python, it is just like an arrow function. All right. This is the way that we declare the function in JavaScript. If this doesn't make sense, you can declare it like this also. Decrement count. All right. So let's have both the varieties so that you are comfortable with it. So I can have one function as traditional way of declaring the functions and one with arrow functions. All right, once we are incrementing the count minus minus, I will be decrementing the count. All right, in the increment, sorry, probably plus plus. All right, and in decrement, I will be decrementing the count minus minus. And look over here is I have the counter element dot inner HTML. I will be declaring it as the new count. All right. So I am getting the counter element, set its inner HTML to count is what we are saying over here in English, and over here also count. Cool. But if I start doing anything over here, nothing will be happening. Nothing is happening. Before incrementing and decrementing count, now we are going to come to the events. Very important. We are going to specify the events over here. So first and foremost event is on the document dot add event listener is the inbuilt function, is DOM content loaded. As soon as the content of the DOM is loaded, I want to run a function on that. Why? Because when the DOM content is loaded, for example, I have not done anything over here. But still it shows 9. It shows DDLJ, Jurassic Park, Satya, Gang, so Godfather. It shows the initial state of the variables that we have over here. In order to do that, what we are going to do is, we are going to do that, go to the count element, set the inner HTML of it to the initial count. Cool. Now if I go over here, brilliantly, the count start coming over here as 9. And I can remove this for now so that you can able to focus just on the count. And if I have declared the initial count as 10, then when the DOM is loaded, I will be having 10 over here. Cool. Now this is the initial event, that the DOM content is loaded, set the count to initial count. Inner HTML of the count element to the initial count. This is what we are doing. And then we will be writing a function which is display movies. We'll be writing it. Basically, it will be displaying all the initial movies. All right. Const display movies will be a function which will be written by us for the movies part. But don't worry about this. For today, let's just get the count working. All right. Let's have it as 9 initially. Now, whenever we are clicking a button, an event is happening, a click event. There are different kind of events. Events in JavaScript. All right. Events. JavaScript. For everything, we have something called Mozilla Docs. Mozilla MDN. All right. So I will be posting the link for event references, but even if you don't go through it, you will start learning about them when we are doing them actually. All right. So another thing that I want to have is on the add button element, I want to put a add event listener. That is, whenever there is a click on this element, I want to run a function that is called increment count. All right, whenever there is an event, whenever there is a click event on this add button, I want to increment the count. All right, so let me go ahead and see. Just a moment. Perfect. All right. So now if I go over here, I go to my counter. Let's pray to the Almighty, and Almighty is with us. Cool. We have started increasing the count. When I'm clicking on the minus, it is not increasing the count or decreasing the count. And all I need to do is on the subtract button, I will be adding another event listener that is a click event listener, and that is decrement the count. All right. So that is subtract button element. Get the element, add event listener, click on it, and when we click, then it should decrease the count. Brilliant. Everything is working fine, and we have made a little bit of brain of the application that we had. Anybody, any questions till now?
Any reason why you used const for the arrow function?
The functions are, do you want to reassign it to anything else?
No.
That's why. All right. So that's why generally you use const. You don't want to reassign that function. You don't want to reassign this display movies name to any other function. The actual function is right here. Huh? You are saying that the name of the function is display movies. You don't want to have same name for anything else, no? Does that answer your question? Who asked this question?
Yes, got it. So not even any variable should have this name.
Yeah, Dishant, I don't want to assign this name to some other function.
Yes.
I want to, neither it will be a conflict. Neither the program will not be able to detect which function you are trying to, the function 1 or function 2. Cool?
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to jump on the whiteboard a little bit, and we are going to discuss something about events. Events are very, very important now. So are you guys able to see the whiteboard?
Yes.
Should I do this? Okay. We have to understand how the events propagate in a DOM, how the events propagate. All right, so this is fine. I want to drag that zoom from here to here. Where did it go? Where did you go? Where are you guys? I'm not able to see you guys. Oh, right here. Okay. So here's the thing about the DOM. All right, we have this as the DOM. We have the document, then we have root, and in the root we have head, we have body, and inside the head we have different nodes. And we'll be discussing a little bit about React also, the basics of React. You know, a lot of people keep on doing React for the whole their life, but they don't understand what actually is the advantage of React. What is React doing under the hood? All right. So whenever this is the add, let's say this is the add button, or this is where, what's happening? Just a moment. Escape. Okay, this is better. All right. So this part of the subtree is there. Let's say this is the part where I have the counter container. And this is the add button. So when you click, when an event happens, let's say this is the click event, or this is the key down event, or this is mouse move event, this is click right key event, enter event. Any kind of event which happens, it propagates up the chain. So you can catch, listen to this part, this is very critical. You can, right now, I caught the click event at the node itself. But doesn't mean that you cannot catch this event right here. It propagates up the chain. So you can catch it at the parent, at the grandparent, at the great grandparent also. Until the time you are not calling stop propagation event function, which is inbuilt function, till that time the event will keep propagating. So if there is a need that you need to catch that event, which is happening at the baby, but at the parent level, you can do that. This phenomena is called event bubbling. And there are some events which are inbuilt. By default, they are inbuilt inside the DOM. For example, if you're building the web applications, you never have to make an event that somebody is pressing on a link that you should be opening that in a new window. That event is inbuilt. Or when you click and you make highlighting of the text, the highlighting of the text happens by itself. That's inbuilt in the browser. You don't need to give any different action methods for doing that. That's why there are certain default behaviors of certain events. So whenever you are working with events and something is not happening, try to see that there may be a default behavior of the event. If there is some default behavior of the event, then you have to call a function which is called event.preventDefault. Prevent the default behavior of the event. Another assumption that a lot of people while doing the front end make is that the events behave consistently over everything. The events, for example, on change event. In case of an input element, on change event in React behaves differently, and it behaves differently in vanilla.js. On change event in vanilla.js, in normal.js, it works when there is the focus is not on the element. When focus goes away, at that time that event is fired. But in React, with every change, on change event happens. Although the behavior is consistent, but the reason that there will be changes, and you cannot, compare apple to the oranges, is when we know about the basic structure of React. On the DOM, on change event happens only when the focus is not there. But the frameworks are doing something to the DOM. Something to the DOM. We'll see that something in case of React right now. But you have to bear in mind that you will be thinking, oh, this event should behave. It happens in the JavaScript and it happens in React same way. It might not. So you have to be specific to your framework. If it is Angular, it can behave something differently. If it is React, it can behave something differently. So you have to be specific when you are asking the questions. So this is the DOM in vanilla JavaScript, the basic DOM, the parent DOM. This is the way that it looks like. But what happens in React is React does something called virtual DOM, virtual document object model. And the reason because the React does it is, for example, over here, the event is clicked over here. It propagates up the chain. There is some change in the parent or some other place at the paragraph, the count changes. In that scenario, in normal JavaScript, in normal DOM, what happens is this whole tree gets refreshed. But what React is able to do is it is able to see that only the state of this subtree is changing. Let me not reload the Brendas and the Tommies. Just focus on that subtree only. That is what React does. And it is very, very efficient in nature, because imagine if you have an application in which lot of user interaction is happening, and you are doing reloading, even if that is not happening, but the document content is loaded again and again, that becomes an expensive operation. That is the advantage of React as far as performance is concerned. The other advantages are that it's a framework in which you can do reusable components. If you have made one component over here, a special kind of button, you can use over here, over here, over here, over here also. But the basic use case of something like React is, it is able to make a mirror image of that DOM, which is called virtual DOM. And it is able to manipulate that virtual DOM so that the rendering of the document is super fast. Does it make sense? Did everybody understand the event bubbling and the concept of React? Satya, Swati, did you get it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go back. Okay, that's enough for today. We will get to the movies tomorrow. I think I should have finished everything today, but that's fine. We'll get to the movies tomorrow. All right, we'll just stay over here only till now. I'll take the questions. Yes. Yes,
So
Sukhpreet.
that React doesn't do this bubbling up of the event?
It does bubbling up of the event. It's not because of the bubbling up of the event, but once bubbling up of the event has happened and something has changed, then if something has changed in the subtree because of that event, make sense? Should I be reloading the host? Should I be putting the content for this again, is what React asks. That should I be doing it again? No, 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 no. In the normal JS, it will be this content, this content, this content, this content, this content, this content, this content might be reloaded again. Did you get it? That's the advantage of virtual DOM. That's the advantage of virtual DOM based frameworks everywhere. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right. That's it, guys. Bye-bye. Have fun. See you guys tomorrow.
Sir, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry. So during event bubbling, based on a child's event,
Mhm.
can you add an event listener to a parent?
Absolutely. You can. You can.
How
In fact,
can that be done?
okay, let's see that. And in fact, for that, we have an example. Are you guys okay? Are you guys able to see my screen? No, right?
No.
No.
New window. Just a moment. Catching an event. In fact, it is at W3 schools only. Event of child at parent. The first example that they have given is W3 event bubbling. W3 schools. Let me try it on, or I have closed. Let me try it on this thing only. Okay, let me share the screen. I'm going to stop recording. Oh, let's keep it. Okay. So let's have a counter container. And let's have a let container element is document. Are you guys able to see my screen now? Document.get element. Or are you guys able to see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Query selector. Query selector is for selecting any kind of tag. But here I have to specify what kind of tag. So the kind of tag is counter container, and it is a class. Oh, you guys are right here. Okay. Counter container. All right. So a dot counter container. If I have many elements in the counter container, there are many elements with the counter container class, then I will be doing query selector all. It will be giving me an array. It will be giving me an array of elements. All right. If I do query selector only, it will be giving me one element only. All right. And I do, let's do the hot reloading also. Go live. Okay. And if I console.log, let me catch this from here. Let me bring it over here and inspect it so that you guys are able to see it. Console.log, console.log, counter container element. Cool, container element. Let's just have the container element first in the console.log. Okay, we have it. Congratulations. And I want to add an event listener onto counter element dot add event listener. I might have to make some changes, but if that happens, then I want to console.log, hurrah, hurrah. All right, and I want to, just for your this thing, I want to do this. Okay, so if I do this, nothing happened. I did this. Oh, this is not the parent. I might have to add something over here that is just a moment. All right, add event listener, click over here, and I need to have hash counter container. And how do I catch it at the parent level? I have to add something to catch it. I'm forgetting it. Hurrah. But let me try this first because it's not null. Just a moment. Line 11, it is not giving me any counter container element only. It's because I should be getting it by query selector, get element by ID. Okay, fine. Should be giving me a hurrah. And okay. How should I catch it? Just a moment.
Is it because the counter element does not have click event? It does not support click
Yeah,
event.
something.
It's not listening.
Yeah, just a moment. Event listening, event listeners, W3 schools. From child. and vanilla JS. Okay, setting an event listener at the parent element, click me. Just a moment. I think I know what is happening. E 24. Handle. Handle click console.log. All right, I'll figure it out and let you know. Okay. I'm not able to reproduce it, but just to give you in fact, in the event bubbling, the basic example that they give is this only. This is what I was trying to mime in my code. I'm not able to do it. So this is the HTML. All right. So this is the HTML. Okay. This is the HTML right here. If I HTML, and if in the JavaScript, if I am able to do this. So basically, if we click me over here, that is the button over here, which is the baby of the container, which is the baby of the container. Then if we select the document, the container over here, if we get the container element, which is the papa of button, and we put a event listener click on this, then handle click, then it will be giving me an output of that you clicked on e.current target.tag name. All right. So you clicked on the div element, that is the papa. You clicked on the papa, although you're clicking at the button. Make sense? Click me is the button class over here. Does that make sense? Who was asking it? This is what I'm trying to replicate, and it may be because I have multiple babies over here. Click me over here, and in the script, JavaScript, if I do this, And if I want to replicate the same thing, let's have the JavaScript from here to our JavaScript. And let's see the index.html. And if we do this, click me, then we clicked on the div element that is a papa. All right. So does it
Yeah.
make sense? So surely the events do propagate up. Event bubbling does happen. Or it may be because we had multiple babies over there and because of that. But I will come up with a crisp answer for that. Cool, Radhika?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, I'll figure it out why it was not working in our code and I'll post in the channel. Cool. All right, we are done with the
Okay.
class. Anybody else? Anybody else has any other questions?